audible? Yeah, thanks. Recently, I came across a term which is verbified platform. I don't know how many of you might have heard of it. According to English dictionary, verbs are the doing words. And if you see around us, the actions we are doing are through platforms like I booked Ola, I texted through Paytm, I ordered through Swiggy. So whatever are the actions we are doing is having a platform or a digital enablement. Now the same thing is getting thank you. So same thing is getting transferred into manufacturing sector also. We have digital twins, we have industrial internet of things, we are doing 3D printing, robotics and many other things in the manufacturing sector. I am today privileged and very excited to be with the industry stalwarts here who brings tons of experience from manufacturing sector, and it would be a very nice conversation today to hear from all of them the entire 360 degree of manufacturing IT. With this, I would like to just start off the conversation, and whenever we start anything, then the first thing that we think of is the basic infrastructure from where we start. Now, for the manufacturing Internet of Things and manufacturing IT, Mohammed ji, I would like to hear from you. How do we start? What are the basic things, or what is the basic infrastructure, from where these things get started? Yeah, please.
Thank you, sir, and good morning to all of you. It is very fascinating what IoT is, Internet of Things. And if you see today's scenario, manufacturing cannot survive if it not go to the digitalization. But manufacturing has their own limit because that is not their core work. So first thing, why manufacturing need IoTs? Why it need IoTs? It is because of the customer demand. Now we are demanding to the manufacturer, we are demanding to our product. Take example. We are demanding whenever I start from my office, my AC goes on. Whenever I leave, shut the door, my AC goes off. How actually this thing happen? It need an infrastructure. It need an infrastructure. To set up any functionality, any IoTs, manufacturing need a setup. The setup is not related to only to hardware, but also a software that run the setup. So basic, to start any manufacturing activity, we need a setup, we need a hardware, software, and the people who run it. And believe me, it is a continuous journey. All manufacturing are not capable enough to do or to start this activity because they are the primary focus on the manufacturing, make the product available on time. In the meantime, they also started their journey towards customer-centric. When we talk about the digitalization, especially the IoTs, tons of data are generated with the sensor connected to the machines. Number of machines are add up day by day. It requires infrastructure who ground this data. All data are not at the same level. Different data talk about the different thing. Different protocols are used by the different OEM. All machines have a different protocol. All IoTs have a different protocol. How they combine all this together? It need a setup. It need something common sensor which read all the protocol. These are the basic things which manufacturer has to invest. And the heavy customization on the sensor, the heavy customization on the IoTs, heavy customization on the product. Believe me, there is no single fit solution IoT available in the world. All IoTs has to be customized as per the requirement. And finally, when you talk about the infra, there is a man behind all the setup who run the infra. And knowledgeable people available at that particular location is also a challenge to manage all this setup infra. So in manufacturing, to start any IoTs, we need a setup, namely hardware and software. Software who manage the activity, and the people who run the show. So these are the basic things manufacturer need to invest before thinking any IoTs. Thank you.
Thanks, that was informative and very rightly said, the hardware, software and people. Recently I was reading an article which said gone are the days when we start off our professional journey with one set of experience and we can continue till our retirement with the same skills. Now these are the days when we have to reskill 3 to 4 times in our professional journey. So skills again is a very important thing. The technology integration, if I may say, what you said is another important thing. And one more thing which comes across in any initiative that we take is cost. So, Jagdeep ji, my question to you is that how do you see these costs or Jagdeep ji, my question to you is how do you see costs or the skills or the technology integration coming in as an important thing in your domain, because you come from a different domain. Yours is more into the machine manufacturing and other stuff. So how these things factor in during the manufacturing IT setups?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm audible? Okay. So good morning to all of you and my co-panelist. I am Jagdeep from Loya Corp, and to put up, what questions you have raised, there are 3 things actually to this. So first thing is the way we have done, is we have understand that there is a need to divide the organization in 2 parts. Okay. So one part is what we are doing today. Okay. How to operate that. And another part is what we will do in future. So accordingly manpower also has to be divided into the 2 set of the people. One is the set of people who works on keeping the lights on, or they are good in, I would say they are very efficient or good into the execution. But another set of people who are capable to think of the future, to make the strategies or to understand, how technology can help us. So that is what we did, and we separated, we created 2 separate teams in all the functions. It is not only IT, but in all the functions, like there is a set of people in manufacturing, there is a set of people in sales, there is a set of people in procurement or supply chain. Every function we have 2 set of people. One is to maintain the day-to-day operation, another set of people to work on the future organization. And when we say future organization, it cannot imagined without having the technology in place. So that is, I think, one part where if we try to achieve everything within the existing set of people, I think the chances of getting success are limited. So the right structure has to be there in place. The second constraint which comes is towards the skilled workforce. So that is a big challenge. I think all of us are facing it. So the way we have tried to handle it, we have created a balance. So we have set up something called Digital Innovation Center, in which we have hired some skilled manpower from the market, Plus, we do have considered, this set of people from the future organization, which are getting trained on the new technologies. So it gives us the right balance of the domain knowledge as well as the technology. And that is how we are trying to address this issue. Another issue which you say, the cost. So I think the basic work, what most of us could have been done by now, is managing the light on off, getting the asset accounting and things like that are already done. So now the key focus is how to improve the process time or to reduce the cost, the material cost. It could be the material cost, it could be the manpower cost, it could be the the power cost. So all those area I think has to be identified very clearly, has to be very clearly answered, with management there has to be an agreement that this is what, if we do this, then this much we can save here. And that is how we take the, things, after only agreement we take it as a project. So I think if we take care of these 2-3 things, it can be addressed up to a large extent, may not be fully. Thank you.
Great, thanks. So if I have summarized, you mentioned the classical people, process, technology ways of handling the things, while the people are either upskilled or onboarded as per the need. The processes are overhauled, and the optimum technology selection helps in the overall development of the things. So with this, there is a very interesting thing that emerging technologies, we used to hear this word till some time back, but now these emerging technologies are present. They are no longer emerging. They have already reached the mainstream of the things. Now, are there real use cases where these emerging technologies in manufacturing IT have generated operational efficiency in terms of cost? So, Dr. Inderjeet, would you like to highlight something on this?
Good morning all. I explained 3 cases, okay. So how implement IoT and everything. So one case is in 20 years back, okay. Scooter India, one plant of the government, we start loss making basically. तो उन्होंने डिसाइड किया कि मुझे गवर्नमेंट से फंड लेना है, ठीक है. गवर्नमेंट ने बोला कि आपको इलेक्ट्रिक 3 व्हीलर पे काम करना पड़ेगा 20 इयर्स बैक, 22 इयर्स बैक. तो उन्होंने डिसाइड किया ठीक है. तो आईटी कानपुर को उन्होंने प्रोजेक्ट दिया. आईटी कानपुर टेक भी हम लोग को 3 लोग को भेजे और वी आर गोइंग देयर और रिसर्च के. तो उसमें बहुत सा डिफरेंसेस था. उनके ड्राइंग पियाजो के थे. ड्राइंग पियाजो को होने के चलते उनका बिल ऑफ मटेरियल अलग था, ठीक है. स्टार्टिंग आईओटी का प्लेटफॉर्म स्टार्ट 20 इयर्स बैक से शुरू होने लगा, पहले डिजिटलाइजेशन के. तो मैंने ड्राइंग को स्कैन किया और एक कोड जनरेट करके बिल ऑफ मटेरियल से लिंक करके वो 20 थ्री व्हीलर इलेक्ट्रिक 3 व्हीलर मैंने डिज़ाइन करके बनाया. वो 3 व्हीलर कुछ आगरा में दिए, जो ताजमहल में पहले आप लोग जाते थे, दैट इज़ द आवर केस. वहाँ से स्टार्ट हुआ था जर्नी. उसके बाद राइट नाउ आई एम वर्किंग इन आईजीएल जेनेसिस टेक्नोलॉजी लिमिटेड. यहाँ पे 2 केसेस हैं. पहला केसेस है कि आईजीएल गैस डिस्ट्रीब्यूशंस में है. तो गैस डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन में उनका कमर्शियल जो बिजनेस है वो लॉस में, प्रॉफिट में है. डोमेस्टिक बिजनेस जो है, जो घर हाउस होल्ड में जो गैस देते हैं वो लॉस बिजनेस है. तो उन्होंने बोला जैसे इलेक्ट्रिसिटी स्मार्ट मीटर बना रहा है, उसी तरह से हमें भी स्मार्ट मीटर पे काम करना चाहिए. बिगेस्ट चैलेंज इज द इलेक्ट्रिसिटी इज ए स्मार्ट मीटर इज नॉट ए बिग चैलेंज. वाई इज पावर देयर, ओके. बट गैस मीटर में हम पावर नहीं ले सकते थे. पावर लेने तो उस पे बाद हम लोगों ने आईओटी का मेजर यहाँ पे इम्प्लीमेंटेशन किए. उसमें आईओटी में लोरा नेटवर्क को यूज़ किए, जो मिनिमम केबी से डेटा लेता है, और उसमें प्रीपेड मीटर को इम्प्लीमेंट करते हुए 10,000 मीटर का पायलट हम लोग 3 लोकेशंस में किए, जिसमें टाटा ने भी हेल्प किया. टाटा कंसल्टिंग सर्विसेज ने, उन्होंने अपने आईओटी प्लेटफॉर्म में बैंडविड्थ जो है लोरा का बैंडविड्थ उन्होंने प्रोवाइड किया. तो एक करनाल, दूसरा मुजफ्फरनगर, और तीसरा हम लोग किए थे रेवाड़ी में. वो सक्सेसफुली इम्प्लीमेंट हुआ. देन आफ्टर सक्सेसफुली इंप्लीमेंट होने के बाद रिचार्ज भी हो रहा है, सब चीज़ हो रहा है, SAP से इंटीग्रेशन होकर सबका। तो IoT का बेस्ट केस ये है कि ऑपरेशंस को कैसे, जब तक IoT इंप्लीमेंट तब तक नहीं होगा। अच्छा, इसमें एक सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज क्या आया जब हम इसको इंप्लीमेंट किए, ठीक है, जो बोलता है स्किल सेट का कमी है। सबसे बड़ा स्किल सेट का कमी है ये लैंग्वेज। हम किस पे ड्रिवन करते हैं? मोबाइल ऐप से रीडिंग चार्ज, उसमें इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज। विलेज में 90%, 95% लोग हिंदी में बात करते हैं, कोई लैंग्वेज उसमें उनको समझ ही नहीं आता। वो उन्होंने कॉल करते हैं कस्टमर केयर में कि मेरे को रिचार्ज कर दो। दिस इज़ अ मेजर फेलियर। जब तक हम लोग लैंग्वेज में कंट्रोल नहीं करेंगे, ट्रेनिंग में भी यही होता है। ट्रेनिंग में जितना क्लासरूम में होता है सब इंग्लिश में स्पीक करते हैं, बंदे को आधा नॉलेज तो पता ही नहीं होता है कि हम क्या पढ़ रहे हैं, क्या कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, कुछ आइडिया ही नहीं होता है। वो आते हैं फील्ड में, उनको जो जॉब मिलता है, एक डिप्लोमा होल्डर है, ITI है, उसको कोई भी जॉब मिलता है वो कर लेता है, वो अपने स्किल में जॉब ही नहीं करता, या सोल्डिंग करना शुरू कर देता है, ठीक है। ऐसे मेरे पास 50 केस हैं, हम देखे हुए हैं। देन आफ्टर ये सक्सेसफुल इम्प्लीमेंट हुआ, IGL ने बताया कि चलो हम दिल्ली जैसे शहर में हमको रीडिंग लेने में बहुत प्रॉब्लम होता है, इस पर एक सोल्यूशन बनाओ IoT पे। हम लोग ऑटोमेटिक मीटर रीडिंग पे एक किए, और उन्होंने इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए जितना मिनिस्टर का घर था, जितना MLA MP का घर था, उसमें मीटर लगा दिए। अब बोला बंदा जो है आपको रीडिंग लेने के लिए नहीं जाएगा, अब रीडिंग जो है लेना है। यहाँ नेटवर्क का इशू सबसे बड़ा कि हमको पावर उसमें तो देना नहीं है, एकदम मिनिमम पावर है, 3 KB का डेटा ट्रांसमिट करना है, ठीक है। तो हम लोग ने एक डिवाइस पे मोबाइल ऐप के थ्रू लोरा वैन क्रिएट करके हमने डेटा लेना शुरू किया जियो लोकेशन के हिसाब से। तो वो डेटा जब लेना शुरू किए तो उसमें चैलेंजिंग, वही सेम चैलेंजिंग हुआ। जो बंदा, हम ग्रेजुएट को भी पकड़ लिए, किसी को भी पकड़ लिए, तो बाइक में यहाँ खड़ा होगे, 10 घर को आप ले लोगे। फिर वहाँ बैरियर, उनको ऑपरेशन करने में ही प्रॉब्लम हो रहा था, उसको समझ में ही नहीं आ रहा था कि उसको हम कैसे हैंडलिंग करें ऐप को। फिर उनके साथ बैठ के उनके लैंग्वेज में ऐप बनाया गया। IoT के सक्सेस होने का सबसे बड़ा फार्मूला यही है कि लैंग्वेज ड्रिवन होना चाहिए। लैंग्वेज ड्रिवन नहीं होगा तो वो सक्सेस नहीं करेगा। देन आफ्टर वो इम्प्लीमेंट हुआ और वो सक्सेसफुल एकदम केस स्टडी है, जो आज एक 1,20,000 मीटर जो है AMR के थ्रू रिसीव हो रहा है। देन आफ्टर वी प्लानिंग कि हमको स्मार्ट मीटर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में आना चाहिए, जॉइंट वेंचर विथ IGL जेनेसिस, ये बनकर अभी स्मार्ट मीटर हम लोग बना रहे हैं। इंडिया का फर्स्ट रोबोटिक स्मार्ट मीटर, वी आर डिज़ाइनिंग दैट, और हम लोग उस पर काम कर रहे हैं, ठीक है। ये मेरा 3 केसेस आपको बताएं, ठीक है, IoT का इम्प्लीमेंटेशन, जिसमें ऑपरेशन कॉस्ट, अब रीडिंग में इनको क्या था, लॉस में सबसे ज़्यादा लॉस होता था, बंदे को भेज के रीडिंग लेना, उसका पेमेंट देना, वहाँ ऑपरेशन कॉस्ट उनका रिड्यूस हुआ, ठीक है, प्रॉफिट बिजनेस बनना शुरू हुआ उनका। और जहाँ उनका 4% लॉस था, वहाँ 8% वो इंक्रीज अभी प्रॉफिट में किए डोमेस्टिक मीटर में। ये एक सबसे बड़ा IoT का इम्प्लीमेंट करने का उनको फ़ायदा हुआ। इसी तरह कमर्शियल मीटर में भी हम लोग IoT इम्प्लीमेंट किए, जो प्रॉफिट बिजनेस था, प्रीपेड इम्प्लीमेंट कर रहे हैं अभी, ठीक है, पावर के तहत। IoT का ये बेनिफिट है। मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में भी बेनिफिट वहाँ पे आता है कि आप SAP लगा दिए, सब लगा दिए, वो सॉफ्टवेयर है, उसको हम लोग करते हैं इनएक्टिव। एक्टिव क्या होता है कि आप डिस्पैच करके जब आपके प्लेटफॉर्म से निकल रहा है, वो कस्टमर को सीधे इन्फॉर्मेशन दे देगा। IoT प्लेटफॉर्म लगाने के कि आपका ये पैकेज नंबर, ये पैकेज लिस्ट है, ये आपको डिस्पैच हो गया, किसी का भी इनपुट देने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगा। दैट्स माय समरी केस स्टडी। थैंक यू।
Thank you so much. I'll hold on to you, Dr. Indrajit. It's a brilliant case study, and you can hear the people clapping as well. Recently, a few years back, what happened in one of the casino in Las Vegas was the AC was a smart AC, and through that people hacked and got into the corporate thing and hacked the casino data for last 20 years. So cybersecurity is a very important element. How do you see cybersecurity included? What are the best practices you follow for such brilliant use cases that you mentioned?
साइबर सिक्योरिटी का एक केस आप लोग सब कोई पढ़े होंगे, ठीक है, ईरान का। अब साइबर सिक्योरिटी अटैक ना वायरस और ये सब नहीं होता, बायोस लेवल पे होता है। ईरान का केस है, जो न्यूक्लियर का उनका प्लांट था, वो 20 साल 10 साल पीछे चले गया, क्योंकि एक छोटा सा अपग्रेड किया, उसका बायोस ने अपना डेटा टाइम चेंज किया, और वो 10 साल पीछे प्रोग्राम चले गया। साइबर सिक्योरिटी का चैलेंज ये है। अब एक बहुत बड़ा गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया का भी इशू था इसी कंसर्न पे। उन्होंने स्टार्ट किया साइबर सिक्योरिटी में कि हम लोग बायोस में कैसे कंट्रोल करें। हमारा प्रोसेसर कंप्रोमाइज़ हो जा रहा है आज के डेट में, कोई भी मशीन हो सब प्रोसेस करना है। तो एक नया इनिशिएटिव लिया गया आज से 6 ईयर्स बैक, आईआईटी चेन्नई को दिया गया कि आप प्रोसेसर डिज़ाइन करें, जिसका प्रोसेसर का नाम शक्ति प्रोसेसर रखा गया, या गूगल में सर्च करेंगे आपको मिल जाएगा। ऑल डिफेंस एवरी वो इंटीग्रेटेड बायोस है उसमें। इंटीग्रेटेड बायोस मतलब कि उसको कंप्रोमाइज़ करने का नहीं है। उसके आगे एक प्लेटफॉर्म पे उन्होंने एक नाम दिया है जिसको कंट्रोल करें, त्रिनेत। त्रिनेत क्या करेंगे, वो त्रिनेत आपको आपके अटैक होने पे वो उसको चेंज करेगा, कहाँ से अटैक हुआ वहाँ तक जाएगा। अगर प्रॉक्सी अटैक है तो वहाँ प्रॉक्सी तक जाके रुक जाएगा। तो साइबर सिक्योरिटी का चैलेंज ये सबसे बड़ा आज के डेट में है कि नॉट ए वायरस, आपके बायोस को अगर कोई भी मशीन है, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग है, मशीन है, रोबोटिक्स है, बायोस को अगर कंप्रोमाइज़ कर दिए तो आपका ऑपरेशन स्टॉप हो जाएगा। वो आप प्रोडक्शन का आपका माइलस्टोन होता है, ये प्रोडक्शन करना, ये कस्टमर का बहुत चैलेंज होता है मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में। हमारे फ्रेंड हैं दोनों मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में, वो जानते होंगे, वो बता दें क्या चैलेंज ये लोग फेस करते हैं। पिक ऑर्डर पे ऑर्डर लगा रहता है, अगर 1 घंटा के लिए भी आप कंप्रोमाइज़ कर लिए तो मोहम्मद जी अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन करेंगे कि क्या इनको चैलेंज फेस होता है। तो आज के डेट में साइबर सिक्योरिटी इज़ द बिग कंसर्न। और ऑपरेटर्स, हम लोग बोलते हैं साइबर सिक्योरिटी के बैकएंड में जो काम करते हैं ऑपरेटर इज सर्चिंग आउट द लूज कनेक्शन, नेटवर्क के थ्रू, अपडेट्स के थ्रू, ठीक है, और आपका नॉर्मल प्रैक्टिस मेंटेनेंस के थ्रू वो आप पे अटैक करते हैं। और स्मार्ट आज के डेट में जो ऑपरेटर हैं वो आपको बेसिकली बायोस में ही अटैक करते हैं। थैंक यू।
Thanks. Sanjeev ji, same thing for you. Cyber security, how is it seen in your kind of organization? What are the best practices you see in manufacturing IT for cyber security?
Yeah, good morning everybody, and I'll just start the things that we are talking about IoT, and I started my career with a company called ABB Instrumentation, where we used to manufacture SCADA systems. So automation was always passion for me, and when I went into the manufacturing side, people were very hesitant in getting the operation side automated because it opens a lot of transparency to the top management. And the other problem when we started doing automation, as Nitin talked about, is the security part of it. Because all these machines, when you, they're in any manufacturing, is very legacy machines, which are still operating on a very old technology, which doesn't allow you to put the latest technology security features over there. People talk about XDR, EDRs, MDRs, and all other part of it. The basic problem with all the legacy machines is the OS, as Dr. Sab was talking about. These OS are so customized and being tied up to an organization that they doesn't even open their APIs or interfaces to you to put anything on that, and you can't put anything, you can't do any simulation onto it. So I think so what we are doing on top of all these things is to secure our thing is that we are trying to create a separate network for our OT part of it. We are creating VLANs, we are putting DMZ zones for putting an additional firewall over there, and the firewalls these days comes with a special OT signatures of it. They just look into the traffic movement which is required into your OT environment, what traffic exactly is required to move within that things, and anything which is coming out of the network, the signatures which are there for the OT devices, your PLCs, IoTs and all other things, if they do not tally with that particular part, they quarantine that particular machine at that particular moment of time. Lot of other things is still not available in the market. People are talking about it only, but use cases on OT sites are very restricted and not proven part of it. So I would not say that I'm an expert on IoT security part of it, but yet at the same time, since our machines, our products are so critical to the OEM, because if my line is down for even for 15 minutes, my OEM's line gets stuck up because they are in continuous manufacturing of cars by Maruti. If I am not able to provide the seat to Maruti, their line is stuck up and there is a lot of penalty tied up with each stoppage of line. So we have to be very cautious on that particular part. So I would say, while we are implementing IoT or IIoT into any setup, we need to first of all understand how we are going to protect our infrastructure of OT. In passion, we just start doing some activities on IoTs and things without even thinking of what will be the consequence of that particular implementation which we are going to do. Another part, I'm just digressing from this particular topic, was when we are talking about infrastructure to be decided for the IoT platforms to be implemented, people have been talking about a lot of things to take it to internet. My request to everybody would be, don't consider taking everything to the cloud. Please plan for your edge to be very solid, because the IoT traffic is so big and so every second you get packets to be generated from your IoT devices. The moment you keep on increasing your IoT devices into the system, you cannot take the complete load of your OT environment to the cloud, because IoT or IoT things needs milliseconds decision making to cater to your OT environment. So that milliseconds cannot be given by any cloud implementation. So be very cautious when you want to implement an IoT, because vendors will come and they will say, no, you take everything to the cloud and then you can do the things. But the moment traffic starts increasing, it will become a failure point for you, and then it becomes a bottleneck and your projects fail over there. Plan for your hardware at the edge. Plan for the things, the IOPS of your storage should be very good, so that the data retrieval and data writing has to be very fast. So this is all I would like to say, that based on the experience which we are doing. As of now, I have connected more than 150 machines using the integration of complete PLCs and IoTs in my organization, and we are creating the complete dashboards for that. Thank you.
Thanks, Sanjeev ji, for the words of wisdom on BIOS, and especially on the edge for latency, as well as effective cost optimization also. Quickly, Mohammed ji, your thoughts on cybersecurity, and then we'll come to you, Saurabh ji and Ravi, for something different.
So as rightly said, the casino get hacked by using the AC. So we are the manufacturer of AC. So we suffered lot on this type of hacking business. So as sir rightly said, we not put everything on cloud. So we have to segregate the data, what to put on cloud and what not to put on cloud. So segregation of data, and there is multiple layers of security, because nowadays smart ACs are coming. Actually, these smart ACs are nothing. The chip is enabled on it, and whenever any action, PLC perform any action, it gives the signal to the chip and how the smart AC is. In a backend, we are capturing the data. We are capturing each and every data, where these ACs are installed, what is the model, which house, which vendor. And that is the challenge, because tons of data we are collecting from the customer sides. And to protect this data, need a cost. It's huge investment. Multiple layers of securities are working behind the scene. And whenever any data exposed on the internet, then there is a issue. It is the issue to protect the data. Make the customer feel safe. They are using our product. It is a product compliance as per the government standard. So how you protect? We have a multiple layers of security. Data goes segregated to multiple data center. We not have to protect the data from the external source, but from the internal also, so that this data cannot access by the internal team. And the number of encryption has been enabled over it. So when you see the actual product, it is not the actual barcode, actual number what you are getting. Behind the scene is something else. So this way we are protecting our data on the internet and making the customer feel safe, the product they are using, it is safe for them.
Thanks again, Mohammed. So we talked of the skills, we talked of infrastructure, security. Saurabh would like you to highlight on some of the success stories which the implementation of such technologies bring on. Would you like to just share those thoughts? Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. So I'll give you a brief about one of the group companies which is working on IoT heavily. So LivePure is the company which I'm talking about. LivePure, previously, if you guys know, we used to manufacture reverse osmosis based RO water purifiers, in which you can pay upfront the entire cost and buy a water purifier, and then regular there is a maintenance cost which you have to incur on a yearly basis through an AMC or spare part based. A few years back, we moved that entire model to water as a service. Now, you don't buy water purifiers, you buy water. Every time you take out one glass of water, our IoT system knows that this is what you have taken out from the system, and that's what you get charged. So there was an entirely new business model which LivePure came out with, and moved the business model from an capex upfront heavy, which requires people to pay upfront, to an entirely OPEX model where you pay as you go. You start using water purifier, you just have to pay for it. You don't have to pay for maintenance, you don't have to pay any time you move. So currently we have approximately 2 lakh plus devices which are there in the market. Now these devices, we are a heavy cloud user. So unlike, we entirely use cloud for our entire IoT stack. And the reason being because we wanted to be highly scalable. We started with few hundred water purifiers, and now it is in lakhs of water purifier, and it is growing every day. There are definitely concerns regarding security, but I think those are things when you start zero trust model and you start securing your data, having necessary checks and balances in place, that gets taken care of. But I think this is one of the excellent model in which IoT helped transforming the business model from a capex heavy model to an OPEX model. It worked good for the organization and good for the customers also. Similarly, we have another company which does similar kind of work for battery as a service. So if you see in Delhi NCR, there are three-wheelers and there is a significant cost that they have to incur with respect to battery. The most of the cost of any three-wheeler, electric three-wheeler running is of battery. We also move this using IoT to OPEX model. So any of these three-wheeler driver, they don't have to buy batteries now. They rent out a battery through any of our dealer franchises. They go around using it for full day based on the GPS, how much they have consumed, what is the battery voltage, what is the current that is running. We know how much the battery consumption has happened, and at the end of the day, when they come back to dealer franchisee, they just pay for what the kilometers they have used. So these are some of the excellent cases of IoT which are running. So and these are scalable models. It's not that, when you say water purifier, when I say 2 lakh water purifier, it's sending huge amount of data. So every minute we know how many glasses of water each person has taken out from the system. It helps us in many ways. It helps us in customizing the plan. So now let's say, for example, we know in Jaipur on a specific pin code what is the water consumption uses. We can customize the plan for the customers based on what the kind of usage are there. We know what kind of water quality patterns are there. So there is an X amount of TDS, there is an iron content in the water, and when it comes out based on the sensor, we get precise data what needs to happen. I think these are the cases which helps these emerging technology being put to use rather than being talked about. We are able to successfully put these technologies to use.
Brilliant, Saurabh. And yeah, it's not just the back end where these technologies are supporting. It is a classical example where at the front end, we are providing the excellent services to consumers themselves. And by the way, I like the new ad of LivePure with Sachin Tendulkar. Great job done, whoever was involved. Kudos to the team. So while we heard the success story, Ravi, on the front end from the consumer side, but at the back end also things like digital twins, I'm sure, are giving operational efficiencies. So would you like to share a light on that?
Yeah, sure. I think we've discussed a lot of examples already. So just for the theoretical definition, so digital twin is nothing but a representation of an actual process or a product, right? So typically these are classified into three types. One is a product digital twin, one is a process digital twin, and third can be an asset digital twin, right? So product digital twins we've heard a lot, right? Like LivePure is an example. The cars we drive today are an example, right? So AC is an example. It helps both the consumer and the company. So consumer basically gets information on usage, information on how is it performing, on savings, for example, on electricity, all of that. For the company, it helps improve the product quality, right? It helps to know the usage, life, and so-called reduce cost also of the product going forward. There are advantages of converting into revenue models also, right? Like was explained for the water purifier use case. Now I'll come to manufacturing and core, right? Where we typically do either process twins or asset twins. Right? So I'll take the process example first. So process basically, if you, as you all know, is a combination of machine, material and man, right, in manufacturing typically. So for, I'll take the Excite example, we have to produce these plates which go into the battery, right. So these are typically metal, lead metal, which gets molted, casted, and then there is active material which is lead oxide, which typically gets rolled and pasted on the plate grid, and then the plate is ready, right. So now there is a process to it, there is material going in, there are people working on this, and there is machines which are helping you do the casting, all of that, right. So we've converted this process into a digital twin. Why this is critical for my business? Now to give you a sense of how to prioritize the use case, right? Because there is cost involved in the use cases, implementing use cases, no doubt on that. So now this metal which goes into battery is more than 50% of the total cost, right? So even if I save 1% on wastage, it is a huge profit driver for me, right? Now what are the variables in this process, which is called the casting and the pasting process in battery manufacturing? The variables are temperature at which the metal is molted, the mold, life of the mold, was the mold cleaned after every cycle? It is supposed to be cleaned after so many castings, right? What was the temperature at which the mold was operating, right? Then during pasting, there is a quantity of active material which needs to be pasted on the grid. So suppose the spec says you have to paste 100 grams. Now if you paste 105 grams extra, it is wastage, right? So tracking the actual weight and reorienting the process. Now that is the second part. First part is monitoring and capturing all the data with different sensors plugged in at different places and tracking whether people are doing what they are supposed to do, what is the life of the mold, has it been changed after so many cycles, all that is data capture. Now I'll come to the control part of it. So once you start capturing this data, you have insights on what is going wrong where, based on which you can start building controls to self-optimize the process. Now I'll explain. For example, if in a drum roller where the pasting is happening, it is pasting 5 gram extra. Now you know, because you have a weight sensor there, you know 5 gram is going extra and on so many plates it has gone, right? There is a real-time feed which goes to the servo motor. The servo motor controls the speed of the roller and it helps you also limit the number of active material which is being pasted on the plate, right? So this is a classic example of a process twin. I can give a retail example also, like Flipkart and Amazon in their warehouses during Big Billion Day sale or during the Prime Day sale. What do? They know last year my peak order volume on a given day was so much, right? Their operating per day volume is not even 10% of that peak day volume. Now they have to simulate their warehouse process to ensure that on that day I will be able to meet 100% of the orders or supply 100%. So this entire process within the warehouse, including their ASRS, their AGV, how the material flows, all the conveyors, is represented into a digital twin, right? Now that digital twin is used to simulate that order volume, to basically determine how many people I will need, how will I orient which materials in which part of the warehouse, fast movers will be ahead, so to reduce the cycle time. So these are very, what should I say, high ROI use cases for manufacturing industries to do the digital twin of your process. Asset is similar, the only difference is asset is talking about one critical asset. Like for us, air compressors are very critical. So we've created digital twin of the air compressor. Now you will get lot of pushbacks also, like we got a pushback that in air compressor, and in most of the HVAC if you've seen, there is a concept of VFD, right? Which basically controls the motor automatically based on the demand, right? So your manufacturing team will say, I have already implemented VFD, what will you do by creating a digital twin of the compressor, right? Now there are so many other variables, like the temperature of the incoming air, quality of the incoming air, dust particles in that, right? Then the load actually, how much CFM, right, cubic feet per minute that you need to push out, right? The pressure in the pipe itself, ambient temperature and moisture, which basically determine performance of the compressor, right? Now based on the actual load and demand, I can control how the compressor is performing, and based on which I can give alerts also. For example, air filter, typically they change at a given frequency, right? Now the system can tell you when to change the the air filter, because it knows the quality of incoming air is worse than it usually is, and the air compressor is consuming much more power than it should do in a normal operation. So it tells you to change the air filter, right? So I have given you both examples. Product IoT, we've heard many examples earlier itself. So process and asset can be a building also, right? Now in the building also we simulate lot of processes and determine how to optimize.
Thanks. Brilliant examples, Ravi. I'll hold on to you. You mentioned a very critical word, ROI. And I'm sure anyone sitting here who has been working on manufacturing projects is kind of apprehensive of the word ROI, is because generally manufacturing projects ROI don't come very easy, at least in terms of thought process, how you generate it, what are the things you look for when starting off a project, which would make the successful or the project deemed successful especially from the manufacturing side, and considering the same word what you used, ROI.
See, in my experience, Nitin, what happens is when you plan such a project, you don't have lot of underlying infra itself which is required to implement the project, right? Like you started with that as the first question, right? So do you have network there? Do you have the required sensors there? Do you have the capability to capture that data? So what happens is lot of these are old setups. And in name of these projects, lot of other peripheral costs start coming in. Like my server infra is very old in the plant, now I need to replace the data center. Arey boss, what has that got to do with this project? You need to replace your data center, you need to do any which ways, right? So first thing is isolate the cost which is attributable to the project. Okay. You can't add the cost of networking the entire plant to that project, right? So that is part of your basic infra. Second thing, as I said, when I was describing the casting process use case, you need to determine the most critical process, or if I may say so how we did it is, we said my conversion cost is equal to energy cost, labor cost, material cost, and so many other costs, right? Which your PNL, your CFO will tell you. So pick up the topmost cost. go after that. Because in that, even if you save 0.5% or 0.1% also, you know the ROI will be justified. So prioritization is very important. Isolating the cost for that project is very important. And patience is key actually, because you need to make it successful at one place before you start horizontal deployment. Right? Now that takes time. As I think one of my fellow panelists was earlier also saying, there is no IoT which is available which you can just buy and deploy. It has to be customized to your process and your use case, which will take, in my experience, anywhere between 5 to 6 months to just establish that the use case can deliver an ROI. So give yourself that time. Make it efficient, put together a crack team in the first use case, which is taking most of your cost in terms of the conversion cost, and go after that.
Great examples. Sanjeev ji, I'll come to you, for another important thing. We see IoT sensors giving a lot of information for remote controlling, monitoring the things, sensors connected to the cloud or edge, like you mentioned before. And then we see a lot of dashboards or the controls. What are the advantages you have seen for using this entire ecosystem?
Okay. So as I was just describing the things in my previous thing was, these IoT sensors, these PLCs, all these machines are generating so much data that when we started, as Ravi was talking about, that you cannot do everything in a single go. You have to first do a proof of concept, take a single machine, start doing the things over there, develop your systems over there. Once you are comfortable that, okay, it is giving me the desired results, because as rightly said, that it nearly takes 5 to 6 months to complete a particular project. And as a lot of people from manufacturing are not willingly there with you to give the inputs for that thing, because it brings so much transparency into it. And on top of the thing is that management every year says to its production head that I want the production to be increased by 1%. So for that particular purpose, every production head keeps some margin with him while configuring the machines and while declaring the results to the top management. But the moment you try to put these new technologies systems over there, it is showing you the face that I am producing a part in 10 seconds, whereas you are putting in your cycle time as 15 seconds. The 5 minutes cushion which was there with the production head to reduce every year and give the production increase becomes transparent the day when the machine starts talking to the software and starts presenting the things over there. So I think so you need to first of all make the teams very comfortable over there, that we are not giving this thing to harm you, but we are going to give these systems to help you. How we sell this particular thing to them is that we take safety part of it, that okay, we are going to give the safety. We talk about quality. We don't even talk about ROI or transparency the day one we produce anything. So we always show that how exactly your quality is going to improve, how you are seeing that, how you are going to be more safe, because we are able to take some preventive maintenance actions doing this particular part. And once people get habitual to that part, start giving the OEs and other rejection trends, OE trends, and that is where the actual management is looking for. You have to keep your management involved into the whole project, keep them very updated that okay, we will be showing you these things at the last, these things will be there in the starting. Secondly, as we talked about the part of it, that you have to plan for the things on edge and cloud both. We started with bringing everything onto the cloud. We failed because at the moment the 2-3 more machines were connected, we were not able to push all the data onto the cloud, because some of our plants are in the remote locations. And remote locations, you are not able to get sufficient bandwidth to push the data to the cloud. So we started deploying the part onto the edge, and whatever data was required to generate my dashboards on the cloud, we pushed that data after massaging the data into the edge servers, pushing into the cloud so that people are able to utilize those things using the mobile apps or anytime, anywhere concept as we talk about, because that is what the management wants to look. management is not interested how much data has been generated. So please look into all those prospect of it, define the ROI period of it, spread out over a period of time, giving the benefits to the things. I think the projects will be able to sail out as much as possible. You look for it. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Most of us here might be at the beginning or may want to start the journeys. So would like to know from the panelists here, what are the critical hurdles that you feel may come in the journey? And of course, what are your thoughts on overcoming such implementations? Saurabh ji, we may start with you.
Sure. So I think some of the difficulties that you may face when you start any IoT or any emerging technology journey, I think is the skill problem. So if you look at any of the manufacturing company, we are not Facebooks or Googles or Amazons or Microsoft. So getting right talent is, or retaining them, I think becomes a critical need that is there. So if you want to do anything new, do you require new technologies to be there? You need people who know the technology and can utilize. So I think that is one of the critical issue that I feel is there. Second, I think many a times what I feel is what happens is people try to put technology above what is a business requirement. We run behind, we have to implement RPA, we have to implement IoT, but we do not know what is actually the requirement for it. I also get a lot of vendors who come in ki sir aapne RPA nahi lagaya, but without understanding the actual need, I think that may not be the right step. That, and when you start doing it, you are actually bringing down your credibility. Every time you have a failed project which we ran because just for the sake of technology, I think we bring down our credibility within the organization. I think that is the second problem. Third, I'll say is the scalability. So whenever any solution that you deploy like IoT or any of the emerging technology, chatbots, AIs, etc., you also need to consider the scalability. You may not be able to deploy an infrastructure today for 2 lakh machine or 20 lakh machine. You may start with 200, but is your infrastructure or technology capable to scale up? When the business starts scaling, is it something that you have to replace your existing technology? I think many of the time that's where we fail. We would have thought about that, fine, we can scale up to 10,000 devices, we can scale up to 20,000 devices, but are we able to scale to 1 lakh devices, 2 lakh devices, 20 lakh devices? Can we just start adding, let's say, nodes or load balancers, and then the technologies start scaling? I think that's where many of the technology or solution implementations fails. Fourth, in my opinion, as some of the panelists mentioned, I think data management. When you have IoT of 2 lakh devices, 5 lakh devices, 10 lakh devices, there is a huge amount of data flow that happens. How do you ingest the data, and how do you massage the data, and how do you utilize data? I think that becomes critical. You need to design relevant triggers, relevant messaging, so that whatever data you are generating out of these devices may be sending one ping every second. So if you look at it, 2 lakh ping a second, you need to have necessary publisher, subscriber messaging system. You need to have necessary backend systems. As some other panelists mentioned, if something need to be done at the edge, you should be able to do it. So I think these are some 4 difficulties which you may encounter when you have these kind of systems. These are my takes.
Thank you very much. And my same question to you, Jagdish ji, and this would be the last question from my side, and then we'll have it from the audience. That what hurdles do you see could come in the implementation of IoT projects for manufacturing, and your thoughts on how all of us can overcome that in our journey?
So I think the biggest hurdle is to the use case. So first, the use case has to be very well established, has to be agreed with management that this is the use case and this is the problem which we are going to solve. And many of times we try to oversell, at the time of getting the use case signed. So I think use case has to be defined very well. The outcome has to be defined very well, irrespective of whether it is giving the right ROI or not. So that transparency has to be maintained, so that like Saurabh has mentioned, the credibility part of the technology, because many times it may not necessary to bring the ROI, because there may be some other benefits to it. So all those things has to be kept in mind that, look, this is what it is. Okay. The next part is when you go to the field, you need the people who are, who are champion into that area and can help you to provide the domains and particularly the things where you are going to fail. Okay, so they can share the knowledge, what are the critical things into this process. If you take care of those things, that, this issue will not come. And then only, the technology, real technology or the core technology piece start. So I think when you go to the core technology, still, though we have many partners available in market today, but still I feel there is a crunch of the right people getting from the market, and many a times you are forced to, because you cannot hire them on their own role because of the limitations of the project budget, because of the limitations of the durations and many things, and you are forced to go to the partners. And partners do, a fitment, okay, whatever is available to him versus what you are looking for. So that is also a very critical aspect where you need to have very clearly, defined that what kind of person you are looking for, and you cannot, you cannot compromise on this aspect. Otherwise, your project will get failed. So these are the three things. I think if you take care of these three things, your project will succeed.
Great, thanks. So if I summarize the entire discussion, which we all were enlightened to have from all you industry leaders, is that we should start with the right kind of infrastructure. It could be cloud first, but it's not cloud always. Edge and other things also give a great benefit, and we heard great use cases. We need to be very cautious on people, process, technologies, all part, because the skills can come from our own ecosystem or they have to be absorbed from outside. It is the mix of both. The technology selection also is very important. Again, edge or IoT, or then we heard of some other use cases also. Cybersecurity is not an optional thing. It's a mandate, and the risks involved are huge if we miss on that part. And it's always good, like Ravi mentioned, to do the simulation well in advance to see what are the possible outcomes at various simulation levels, and it gives you right kind of operational efficiencies for future. Again, we need to be very cautious, like we heard from the panelists, in the start of our project about the data management, more so what is the objective that we want to achieve, then only the cost ROI will be justified. And it's not always the cost, there are quality as well as time parameters also, which can create the project deemed successful in terms of ROI. So if I have to summarize my understanding, I just share. Thank you all thanks all of the panelists for sharing your thoughts, and I'll leave it to the audience now for any questions, and we would have 2 minutes, so please. Yes, sir. Please, can someone give the mic?
Hi, good morning. I just want to understand, using this technology of IoT in manufacturing, is there any use case or you guys have done anything for the worker safety using the IoT?
So for the workers' safety, any use case on IoT?
I give you the example. I don't know how many you have seen the shop floors. There are many area, like for example, paint shop. Paint shop is an example. Earlier those days when any worker goes to the paint shop and he come out with the blue and white and black colors. That days has gone. It has been replaced by the robotic arms. All the critical processes which are related to employee or employer safety has been replaced by the most of the manufacturer by the robotic arms. Press shop is another way. You can think like where numbers of IoTs has been involved to remove the accident. Nowadays, it is, you can hear only very few cases where accident actually happened, because those activity, the critical activity which are more accident prone, has been replaced by the robotic arms. So two example like press shop, paint shop are the common example where the employee safety has been improved by the use of IoTs.
My expectation was ki, is there any wearable device available which the worker can wear, and while he is working on the shop floor, so he can get instant alert if there is any security hazards or health hazards?
Yes. Through IoTs, like what is main purpose of IoTs? IoT's main purpose is to predictive analysis. Suppose the worker is working on the press shop and the temperature of press shop has increased, or actually the IoTs give you the exact scenario what actually is going to happen in that particular machine. Temperature increasing, is malfunctioning, oil levels are getting down, grease are getting down. These kind of data we can receive from the IoTs. Nowadays, IoTs plus PLC perform the activity where it can give you the pre-alert. Even in the today, it will give you, like if some press shop molds are loose fitted, IoT sensor will activate and it will not start the machine. This kind of data we can generate from the IoTs.
Great. Our panelists would be available outside and we can have more conversation. But in best interest of time, I would like to thank everyone here for their time, and to the audience for being such a patient listener. So with this, we end this panel discussion. Thank you.